When you hear the term island life, it probably conjures up visions of sandy beaches, palm trees, and a laid-back lifestyle in the warm sun. But there's an entirely different type of island life up in extreme northern Wisconsin. There are numerous islands within the clear blue water of Lake Superior, which is so gigantic it seems like a vast ocean. There's a ferry that leaves Bayfield, Wisconsin, and when it does, it not only transports you across the water to Madeline Island, but also to another world.
Rock Hopper here, we're heading to Madeline Island today. We're going to check out this part of Wisconsin. Alright, we'll be taking the ferry here, and you can see the lake, so we're heading over that way to the island. There's Bayfield, and the ferry goes across over to La Pointe and Madeline Island, right there.
Fall in the upper Midwest can be a most spectacular time to visit the region, with the trees ablaze with their autumn colors of yellows, oranges, and reds. One might think that the colors of this region rival those of New England, a palette of picture postcard perfection. I was off to see the annual Fall Festival, the last hurrah of autumn before winter set in. It was a 25-minute ride to the island across the water to La Pointe on Madeline Island. When I stepped off the ferry, I would eventually come to realize that I'd also stepped into a Mayberry-esque time warp, an island that exuded a quaintness and charm that had disappeared from so much of the rest of the country. As I would soon learn, there was a real sense of community here. Of course, that wasn't without its quirks, as it takes a special kind of person to live on such a remote and inaccessible chunk of land. It was island life, and it ran on island time.
Coming into La Pointe, little town. Welcome, La Pointe's Main Street.
It was a cloudy and cool day, and the sky was threatening rain, but I hoped it would hold off and not wash out the festival.
Bicycling is a good way to get around on Madeline Island. You can learn a little bit about island life here on the bulletin board in the post office. Hornet and wasp removal. Kid operated.
The festival was apparently a good place to find people who handcrafted various items in a traditional way.
Right now I am spinning yarn. This is it's called roving. Roving, yeah.
Okay.
So it's been processed. This is a merino wool from the merino sheep. I gave the sheep a haircut. Somebody made it into a beautiful piece of roving, and it was dyed a beautiful color. And what this machine is doing, it's a spinning wheel that I bought about 20 years ago from New Zealand. And what it does is it puts the twist into the yarn. So I'm guiding the width of the yarn, what I would like it to be like, and it's twisting, and then when I release the tension, it winds up onto the bobbin back here.
Okay.
And that bilious green color is what I call a leader yarn. It just helps me get the yarn onto the bobbin. And what I'll end up doing is, when I'm done with this fiber, I will end up taking it off the bobbin in a center pull ball so I can get both ends. And then I will spin it the other direction. And it'll be a two-ply, yeah, and it'll look something like that.
Just like that.
Just like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So this is a really old technology. It took over. Think industrial revolution. This stuff is felted a little bit on the outside. It took over from the drop spindle. So when a person was sitting at home, they could have time, and well, it was a big deal. You wanted to be able to make as much yarn as you could to weave, knit, crochet, whatever, to make clothes. Clothes were incredibly valuable. So this was sort of the beginning of the Industrial Revolution. And when you think of the Industrial Revolution, it's all about textiles and cloth and making it easier to make clothes.
Are there many people around here who still do this type of thing?
You know, there are a fair amount. There are some folks here on the island who still do that. You can find some of their wares over at Woods Hall, just a couple blocks away. I actually live on the mainland, and I know that there are some folks on the mainland that also spin and create their own wares. So,
oh,
yeah.
Cool. Well, let me show people what you've made over here.
Oh, thank you.
So you've made all of these. Very, very pretty. Nice colors. And even some mittens up here.
Those mittens are lined with rabbit fur.
Oh, that's rabbit's fur?
Yeah.
Oh, those must be really warm in the winter.
They're very warm. And my son has done some blacksmithing.
Look at that old Chrysler.
Did they eat one of those waffles?
Hey there, how you doing?
Great, how are you?
Doing well, thanks. So it looks like you've got some stories. Are you a van lifer?
I am, yes.
And you make jewelry?
I do, yeah. These are my shell necklaces, and this is my van topaz. And I'm Maya.
Well, nice to meet you, Maya.
Yeah, nice to meet you too.
You live on the island or where?
I do, yeah. I live in my van on the island, Madeline Island. I worked at the grocery store this summer, and it's been beautiful. Living on Lake Superior, can't go wrong.
Oh, nice. Okay, so you've enjoyed island life.
Mm-hmm.
What else is going on here? Let me get a shot of your van here. Look at that.
Yeah, it's actually my first time selling jewelry. I always just make it and give it away, or make it and keep it. This one was the first one that I ever made, and I figured I'd put it out just in case it sells, but I like to make them for friends and then just give it away. But I made my first sale today, which is really exciting. I made $20.
Awesome.
This is my first money that I've ever made selling jewelry, because I don't know what to price it. So I always just give it away, because it always comes back. Everything always comes back to you, and trades and stuff. I do trading, but I made money, which is cool.
Well, it's good to have a little gas money, right?
Exactly, yeah. And
Never
food.
hurts.
Yeah.
What is that, like a rabbit skin jacket behind you?
Yes. It keeps me warm when it's cold outside. Like, sleeping in the van, it gets cold. So sometimes I wear this to sleep, and I'll wear this like as a blanket, and it'll be like, it frosted the other day, and it was around like 35 degrees, and I was like very warm and toasty. I was like actually sweating on my furs. So yeah, it keeps me warm. Thrifted, of course. I would never buy fur that's like, new. I thrift everything, so.
Yeah, cool. I hope you do well with your jewelry. Maybe this is the start of a new little career for you.
I think so too, yeah. It's exciting.
Yeah, let's just show some of those beads and things you got going on there.
All the shells. I have shells galore.
Shells galore
Shells
back here?
galore.
Oh, nice. Okay. Lots of stuff. Wow. Cool. Well, have a great day, Maya. Not a real good day for outdoor dining. This is Tom's Burndown Cafe. Let's have a look around. These stages are actually built upon old Cadillacs that are sunken down in there. There are two Cadillacs, and this is the other one. And it's also a stage or a little area on top of it. This place literally did burn down twice. It was in another location originally and moved here. It all started about the 70s. Hey, did you guys know you're sitting on top of a Cadillac?
What?
Yeah, right underneath you.
Oh,
Are you guys all having fun here today? All right, sounds great.
Are you gonna smile, friends?
Well, look who we have here. It's Tom from the homestead. Hey.
How are you doing?
Good. He's got the fall festival going on. He's part of it.
That's right. Yeah, it's picking up. You know, the rain is picking up a little too, which tends to dampen things, but there's still a crowd around. It's been pretty good. A lot of people stopping. Raspberries are almost gone.
All
Kiwi
right.
went.
Stuff's going fast, huh?
Yeah, actually a lot of the veggies too, not just the fruits. The beets are gone. Carrots, a lot of those are gone.
Got the peaches over here. Jams. All right. Well, I hope you do well today.
Yeah, me too.
This is the last market of the season?
Yeah, this is the last market of the season here. That'll be it till next spring. There's a few people stop at the farm, I guess.
So you asked me about the wind sled. There is a time in the winter that the ice has gotten too thick, the ferry cannot push through anymore, but it's not thick enough for the road to open. And the Nelsons, they do a really great job of checking the ice, plowing, making sure that everything is as safe as it can be. So in that in-between time, the island developed a thing that we call the wind sled. And it is a boat hull. It's an aluminum hull and with a big airplane propeller on the back. It's enclosed, so it's heated. And the big one seats 20 people. They now have 2 smaller ones. They seat 9 apiece. We also have the Ice Angel, which is for emergency rescues, and that one looks a lot more like a boat. It's red. It seats about 4 people. It's ready to go in case someone goes through the ice. That's what that one's for. But I really love it because, especially the big one, it's loud, but it's fast. So it goes from Bayfield, from what we call the winter approach, where you've got on the ferry on the one side of that blue building. On the other side of the building is where the ice road starts. And that is truly County Road H. So you'll see on a map, there's County Road H. It goes across the lake. That's where they pick everybody up. You climb into this thing, and then it takes off and it goes to the winter approach, which isn't here. It's about a half a mile outside of town. And you wear your protection, but it makes the crossing in about 7 to 8 minutes. So where the ferry takes 20 to 25 minutes to go, this thing goes really fast. The concerning part for me, for our elders in the community, is it's really hard to get in and out of it. So bear that in mind. The other thing is they don't, that time you can't bring a lot of construction lumber or anything. Everything that comes back and forth to the island goes on the wind sled. So the mail is on the wind sled. The kids, the junior or middle school and high school kids who go back and forth to Bayfield, they're on the wind sled. So it's our lifeline to the mainland. That runs until the ice is thick enough that we get that road. And that road is a lifeline. That's when the islanders are so excited to get an ice road, because that means they can come and go on their own time. They're not beholden to anyone else's schedule. It's a lot of fun. I know folks who would just pick up and go have pizza just because they could down in Ashland and then come back. I personally would never want to really be on the road in the dark, because you do need to see what's going on. But they mark it with, they mark the route with Christmas trees, and every once in a while they'll say, hey, something happened, now there's a jog, we've got it marked. The best thing that I've seen out there is a serious croquet game that happens at about 4:30 every afternoon here on the island in the summer. Those guys, they play croquet on the ice in the winter too. So that's a lot of fun. You'll be going by and you're like, oh, yep, there they are. They're out playing croquet on the ice.
I was just wondering, that air sled, if the ice is thin and it hits water, does it still float?
It floats, yeah.
So
I could show you a video. I have a video. I just got flowers. fingers.
Those came from.
That came from Tom.
Tom, he's such a.
What a sweetheart.
He
has Northwind Farms over in outside of Bayfield, and he's such a really wonderful organic farmer. The wind sled, the whole purpose behind it with the boat hull is in case you do hit a thin spot or something happens, it floats. And you just give it a little more oomph and it'll just keep going. So there was one year, there was sort of a channel we had to take, and we were literally floating in the water and then pulling back out and going. So
ice to water and back to ice.
Ice to water to ice.
Wow.
Yeah.
And back and forth.
And back and forth. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, and with the ice road, it's exciting. They're like, hey, it's open. The speed limit on the ice road is 15 miles an hour, and we are dead serious about that because if you go faster than that, it builds up a harmonic on the ice because ice is a liquid, right? And so it builds up a wave, and that's what breaks up the road. You know, we're very serious about that 15 miles an hour. What we lose first in the springtime or, late winter, we lose the approaches because of the salt and sand on the, coming from the roads. That creates a yucky, slushy slurry, and it starts to become impossible to get over. The middle of the road is just fine, but it's the approaches, so that's what causes us to switch back to a wind sled or the wind sled ban. And then we hope that the icebreaker comes from Duluth and gets us a channel for the ferry. Some years they do, some years they don't. So, yeah.
Island life.
Island life. It's a commitment. So, it's wonderful out here. It really is. The community in the wintertime, it's pretty close-knit. And, they create events for themselves. There'll be bingo games and church suppers and, different activities that go on. And good dedicated folks, cross-country skiers and that sort of thing.
The weather became rainy and cold, so I decided to explore inside at the museum.
Well, the fall festival was kind of a washout, but I came into the museum and I'm showing you a birch bark canoe here. This is Chloe here at the museum, and she's going to tell us a little bit about Anishinaabe people and history. You're from the Red Lake Band, is that correct?
Yep, I'm a member of Red Lake.
So this was the traditional homeland of the Anishinaabe, who are also known as the Ojibwe or Chippewa.
Yep. So this exhibit is about the migration of the Ojibwe people from the Atlantic Ocean over to Lake Superior. And through stories and oral tradition, they ended up landing at Madeline Island, which is believed to be the ancestral homeland of all Ojibwe people. From there, the exhibit kind of walks through the history of that migration and then what happened after during colonization. Originally, after the Ojibwe people migrated towards the island, and it became a center for trade. A lot of different tribes would come here. Eventually it was called the La Pointe Band. It was then the US government forcibly removed them and they split into two bands, two tribes, Red Cliff and Bad River, and they're still there today on the mainland. There isn't an official tribe that's on the island, although Bad River does own part of the land now.
Are there many people that live here on the island year-round?
No, not that many people. There is a community of people that live on the island year-round, and it's kind of harsh conditions in the winter. A lot of the people that live here live here only in the summer.
I was told that there are roughly 500 permanent residents on the island. I'm here at Madeline Island Candles, and this is Amy, and she's the candle maker. This is Amy Baxter, and she's going to tell us a little bit about making candles.
All our candles are soy besides the tapers, which are beeswax. They start out with the melters. This is a pillar wax, so that makes a higher melt point candle that hopefully if you only burn it for a few hours, it won't leak. And then this one is a container wax, and that one you want the wax to pool all the way across the candle and burn all the way down. So I have two different melt point melters. I start with a pitcher, and every recipe has its own pitcher. And then you use the dyes, so it's so many drops of dye for the recipe. And then everything else is by weight. So I have a scale that goes underneath the melter, and it's so many ounces of wax to so many grams of fragrance. And I have every fragrance behind each pitcher. For the pillar wax, I pour these, and as it cools, the top solidifies before the middle has. And so it creates a pocket in the middle of the candle.
Right.
So after a couple hours, I slit the candle, and then the next day I warm up the leftovers and I pour it in here, and then that'll be the bottom of the candle.
Okay.
For the containers, I just pour. I don't have to do any second pour on that. I get the temperature up to a certain point to activate the fragrance so that when the candle is cold, you can still smell it. And then I cool it to a pouring temperature, which I missed because some customers came in. So now I was just rewarming that because I had poured a few and then it got too cold because I went upstairs. So I was rewarming it so it would be at pouring temperature again.
Okay.
And then this room is the taper room. And this melter has beeswax in it. White beeswax. The natural beeswax, I just pour into the pitcher and melt. But for white beeswax, to be able to add the dye to it, that lives in that melter. And then I pour into these forms. These are made out of polyurethane, so they're flexible, so I can crack the candle off. Well, maybe.
Okay.
So these are beeswax, and the other two melters are soy. And that's pretty much how I make the candles.
All right. So it's all pretty much natural ingredients then.
Yep.
Fragrances too?
The fragrances, I do have an organic essential oil line. But our fragrances on our regular line, they use essential oils. But if the essential oil is flammable, there needs to be a dampening agent. And if the fragrance would put the candle out, there needs to be a flammable agent. So those fragrances have other additives as well.
Okay. And I have to say, it smells really good in here.
Right? I don't smell it anymore when I walk in.
How did you end up working here?
Well, the guys watched me as I was bartending. And pretty much a shot is about the size of a votive candle. And I think they were impressed with my pouring skills. So I started working here about 10 to 15 hours a week just making the candles. And then as they weaned themselves out of the candle hands-on, and the lady that ran the register left the island for a while, she's coming back, I started working here full-time, and now I only bartend 1 day a week.
So island life can be kind of hard, huh?
Yeah, most of us have several jobs. I work here, bartend at the beach club, and I'm on the town board. And with seasonal work being what it is, some people have to cram all their money making in a few months. I actually am lucky enough that all 3 of my jobs are year round. So I don't get laid off in the winter like some people do.
Okay. But it can get kind of hectic having that much work, huh?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm glad I'm retired from bartending nights and not being up until 4 o'clock in the morning and then getting up to go to work in the morning. So this is kind of a nice change to be making candles and only bartending 1 day a week.
Because it was probably pretty crazy working Friday and Saturday nights, because this is kind of a tourist region, and you just get a lot of people here that want to party, right? All night?
It was. Before COVID, yeah. The bar scene has slowed down since then, but it used to be full bar till 2:30, kick everybody out, then you still have to clean up, put up all the chairs, do your till, and you don't get out of there until 4 o'clock in the morning.
And then you had to work another job in the daytime?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was a housekeeper mostly for most of those years while I was bartending.
When did you sleep?
Well, I'll sleep when I'm done.
This is another of the local bars here on Madeline Island, Aaron LaPointe.
I peeked through the window of this place and waved at a woman inside who promptly let me in and started to tell me about it. Soon Maya dropped by too. This center is a haven for those with creative and artistic tendencies.
Right. At that point, they only had a few, I think there was one loom that was left in the attic of the parsonage. And the minister's wife learned to weave, and then she started teaching people. And so many of these have been donated.
Do you have one going?
No, not at the moment. I have a loom at home.
Oh my, they're nice.
So this was all created because too many people were getting drunk in the winter on the island. That's a real thing, huh? So you can come here, do some ceramics, make some pottery, keep you out of trouble in the winter. It's got a big studio.
And now we're moms.
How do you find a place to live?
I live in my van.
That looks like it might be a traditional Ojibwe shelter. The LaPointe Marina. Plenty of opportunities here for boating, being it's an island. This is a native cemetery. It says this is the site of the first Catholic church built by Father Barriga. Although the day was a bit rough with all the rain, it's turned out to be all right at the end.
You never know what you'll find on the island. You might meet a friendly cop who's fishing on his lunch break like I did, or see a swarm of cheerful bicyclists pedaling around, or on sunnier days, people picnicking and swimming on the island's beaches. Whatever you do, don't take yourself too seriously if you come here. After all, it's all about island life. Madeline Island life.
Just wait for the ferry, it's coming in. Time to head back to the mainland. I hope you enjoyed exploring Madeline Island at the far northern edge of Wisconsin and learning a little bit about island life. Don't forget to give me a like on the video, share, and subscribe. Until next time, this is Rockhopper. I'll see ya.